All right, I am finished, accomplished, passed the 66. I have my printout. Probably blur some of that out on this screen here. All the things that I highlighted in the last video were super important to my success for this test. I cannot emphasize how important it is to go into these tests cool, calm, collected, and not anxious. Going into the test center is a little bit of an anxiety-driven process, so the more you can calm yourself down before you go in, the better overall. So, what was the experience like? I went into the building in which Prometric was in. It's kind of like a doctor's office. You walk in and there's a receptionist at the front. You do have to bring in a form of government-issued ID, so a driver's license or a passport. And by the way, make sure your driver's license is not expired. From there, the receptionist asked me to read through a disclosure, which basically told me don't cheat on the exam, don't do anything sketchy, don't bring any weapons into the test facility, etc., etc. After reading through the disclosure, the receptionist hands me a key to a locker and asks me to go put up everything that doesn't include my license. The license or whatever your ID is the only thing you can bring into the test center. So I went over to the locker that she gave me access to and I put in my cell phone that I turned off. She did ask me to turn it off, but I put in my cell phone, put away my keys to my car. I think that's all I brought to the test center other than my ID. So I went back to the receptionist with my ID in hand and she walked me back to another area of the testing facility where I would meet with the person who would then sign me in. And that person basically is there to make sure that you have no materials on you whatsoever and that you understand all the rules of the test center. This is where it starts feeling a little real. They ask you if you have any questions, any concerns. They also have you hand over your ID, and from there that person then fills out a couple things on a piece of paper and you have to sign in. On top of that, they'll take a picture of you to make sure that it's actually you and have some documentation of who actually took the test. And also, they're gonna give you a little bit of a security check, kind of like a more in-depth TSA check. And after all of that, he gives me one more set of instructions, which is don't write anything down on your scratch paper. And actually, I didn't mention the scratch paper. When I say paper, I'm not talking about tree paper. I'm talking, it's a laminated sheet with a black marker. It's not as great as having a piece of paper and a pencil, but it does the job. It does everything you need it to do. So he hands me the laminated sheet and 2 markers. The person walked me through and back into the actual testing center, which was in another room. There's cameras everywhere. Everyone in there is completely silent. So he brings me to my computer, which is at a cubicle. At your computer, you have one of those over-the-ear headphones, but it's not for music. It's just to block all sound out. The great thing with those is a vortex of sound. It just like, I heard nothing. I heard my heartbeat, which was a little weird, but you can just focus completely on your test and immerse yourself in that test environment. From there, you have to go through a tutorial that proves that you know how to use a computer. It's going to tell you how to answer A, how to mark for review, basically how to use their computer system. Once you're done with the tutorial and the test officially starts and you see the timer going on your test, that's when you can start writing stuff down on your scratch piece of paper. At that point in time, if you're a dumb sheet person, that's when you want to write your dumb sheet. And from there, I went into the test. The first 10 questions, I was nervous. I probably reread the questions 5 or 6 different times. You know, I don't know if there's any way to truly get completely around that nervousness or that anxiety in the first part of the test. But overall, that anxiety and that nervousness really dissipated after I got through the first 10 questions. And it was just like I was taking another final. Made my way through the exam, got to the very end. Probably asked you 3 or 4 different times if you're ready, if you're sure that you're done with the exam. And sure enough, once you get through that process, it scores your exam right there on the spot. My exam score popped up right on my screen immediately. After that, you can take a survey if you want. All it asks you is like, what you thought about the test center, was it accommodating, etc., but not a big deal. After you do that, you can walk out of the test center and you got to sign out one more time with your name, and on top of that, it gives you a printout. And I got my printout right here once again. The printout is documentation that you get that you actually took the exam and what your score was and did you pass and did you fail. And that was my experience, guys. Nothing crazy. The bottom line is if you prepare yourself adequately by doing the right amount of study and you do the right things in terms of getting yourself ready mentally for this exam, getting enough sleep, feeding yourself adequately, focusing on being cool, calm, collected, you're going to do fine on these exams. Well, that's the test center experience. And of course, if you have any questions or concerns, please reach out to me. I'm more than happy to help you. I hope you got something out of this video. Thanks so much for watching.